And welcome to CBN NewsWatch on this Friday, September 24th, 2021. I'm Ephraim Graham. Coming up, the votes for the Women's Protection Health Act are in. We'll bring you the latest developments, plus social media and sex trafficking. Media giants like Facebook face backlash for not doing enough to prevent it.
These businesses are sex slavery. These businesses are trafficking. Facebook has said we're going to address the issue. They've never really addressed it.
An entertainment expert joins us for insight and the 7 species. It's the superfoods in the Bible, and it's observed during the Jewish time of Sukkot.
We're doing a recipe inspired by the 7 species, the 7 foods that are superfoods of the Bible and of the land of Israel.
We go on a cooking course in Jerusalem using those 7 superfoods. All this and more are coming up next.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
We begin this half hour in Washington, where the House passed the Women's Health Protection Act in a vote of 218 to 211. It gives women the right to decide to continue or terminate a pregnancy. It also gives healthcare providers the ability to offer abortion services with no restrictions. The act now moves to the Senate for a vote. A Heritage Foundation report warns it's a danger to pro-life efforts.
It's really meant to roll back existing policies, many of which have been on the books for many years, litigated all the way to the Supreme Court and deemed constitutional. But it's also about preventing states and the federal government from enacting future pro-life policies. Really, the goal of this bill is to enshrine unfettered abortion access into federal law across the country and take away the American people's ability to have a say at all.
We're continuing to follow this story, and we'll have more for you on this evening's Faith Nation. It begins at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The last remaining migrants departed a makeshift camp just before noon, but just hours ago, a Valverde County judge told the Associated Press only 225 migrants had remained. Just yesterday, there were 3,000 left at the border. That number down from nearly 15,000 just last week. The Biden administration recently extended protections for more than 100,000 Haitians already inside the United States. The situation at the border has Republicans laying blame on President Biden's immigration policy. CBN News' Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson spoke with one Texas lawmaker who says it's time for action in the face of what he calls lawlessness.
Texas Congressman Michael Cloud tells CBN News his state is completely overrun by what's happening at the border and says it's time the Biden administration takes it seriously.
5 of the 13 counties I represented have already declared a disaster.
CBN News joined Cloud on a tour of the border last June. Cloud says since then, things have only gotten worse.
The federal government's not cooperating with local agencies, so it's our hospitals that are left to deal with it. It's our schools that are left to try to figure out how to deal with the situation. There's new diseases that have been virtually eradicated from the U.S. for quite some time that we're now having to deal with once again. And so this is a very serious situation.
Cloud claims it's complete lawlessness at the border.
You look at what's happening at the border, and it's just no holds barred, virtually open borders. The effort to intentionally overwhelm our system so that it collapses is really tragic coming from this Biden administration.
While the White House says they have the situation under control.
People are not coming into the country through legal methods. And again, our policy process has continued to be the same with Haiti as it is for anybody coming through irregular migration across our border.
Key parts of President Biden's agenda are in jeopardy, even after progressive and moderate Democrats announced a framework agreement over what could be a $3.5 trillion budget reconciliation bill.
A big part of what we're talking about here, which is not a secret to all of you, are the size of the package, right? There are a range of different viewpoints on that. That's part of what the discussion is, and that will certainly impact as we look toward how we're going to unify moving forward.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is also warning Congress they need to act fast to address the debt ceiling before the government runs out of money to pay its bills, or the economic fallout will be catastrophic. Despite the looming crisis, Republicans have no intention of helping Democrats raise the debt ceiling, with Congressman Cloud claiming the solution is to stop spending money we don't have and live within our means as a nation. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
The debate over Pfizer booster shots is over. The FDA gave it the green light for people older than 65 to get a third dose at least 6 months after receiving that second shot. CBN's Brody Carter has more.
Pfizer's booster shot passed the final panel of independent advisors with the CDC in a 9-6 vote. This after the FDA's panel said last week the data was not strong enough to advocate an extra shot. But CDC Director Rochelle Walensky reversed one recommendation by the advisors and also endorsed the booster shot for frontline workers.
So the ayes have it, and this recommendation is adopted.
A vote of confidence from the CDC's independent panel recommends boosters for people over 65, nursing home residents 50 years and up with underlying health problems, and people over the age of 18 if they have medical problems.
You're tasked with difficult decisions, weighing the risks and benefits, extrapolating from sometimes the wealth and sometimes the paucity of data available.
The panel stopped shy of giving the go-ahead for frontline workers, but CDC Director Rochelle Walensky broadened access to boosters by going against the panel's recommendation and giving the green light to boosters for healthcare workers, teachers, and other workers at risk, a big boost for the president's vaccination campaign.
That's why I've made getting COVID under control my top priority from my first day as president.
Despite the White House's full-court press for boosters, Thursday's decision is a significant scale back from the administration's initial plan to dispense Pfizer boosters to everyone, even teens 16 and up.
We have plenty of supply of all three vaccines for boosters, pending, obviously, the FDA and the CDC recommendations.
And while boosters for Moderna and Johnson & Johnson wait their turn for approval, hospitals around the country continue to deal with the Delta variant, which is hitting the unvaccinated at far higher rates.
We have ICU patients outside of our intensive care unit in other areas of our hospital.
The booster shot decision was founded on trial data from Israel, where a third shot is already being given, despite objections from the World Health Organization purporting poor countries don't have enough for their first dose. Brody Carter, CBN News.
Congress passed a bill funding Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system. The bipartisan vote came as progressive and moderate Democrats still cannot agree on their overall tax and spending plans. But members of both parties support the billion-dollar funding for Israel's missile defense, passing by an overwhelming 420-9. But it didn't come without some strong disagreements on the floor, with opposition by a prominent member of the House Progressive Caucus.
I will not support an effort to enable and support war crimes, human rights abuses, and violence. We cannot be talking only about Israelis' need for safety at a time when Palestinians are living under a violent apartheid system.
I cannot allow one of my colleagues to stand on the floor of the House of Representatives and label the Jewish democratic state of Israel an apartheid state.
The bill still needs to be approved by the United States Senate. Now, a quick look at a few other stories making headlines at this hour. A gunman opened fire at a Kroger grocery store in a Tennessee suburb Thursday. Police say the gunman killed one person and injured 14 others. The victims were taken to area hospitals with some serious injuries. The assailant found dead at the scene from what authorities suspect was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Retired Special Forces members are rescuing those left behind in Afghanistan. Although thousands were evacuated last month, the Biden administration left an unknown number of Americans. The retired Special Forces members still have challenges, though, as Afghans face arrest and executions under Taliban rule. You can read more on this story at cbnnews.com. The March for Martyrs event will be held Saturday in Washington, D.C. It's a chance to walk and stand in solidarity with Christians around the world persecuted because of their faith. Faith Nation will have more on this story this evening. It begins at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Coming up, the latest concerns about Facebook's social monitoring when it comes to drug cartels and human trafficking. Facebook is making headlines these days, accused of not doing enough to shut down human trafficking on its site. Our Mark Martin is back with that story and some time with Dr. Ted Baer, an entertainment critic.
First of all, what did this investigation discover when it comes to human trafficking, drug cartels, and Facebook? How big is this problem on social media?
Well, the problem is gigantic, and I was one of the founding board members of the National Coalition on Sexual Exploitation, and it's been a bigger and bigger problem, especially when we talk about the crackdown on conservative sites or Christian sites, because they say on Facebook that the cost of doing business in Africa and the Middle East is allowing all these different businesses to use it. These businesses are sex slavery. These businesses are trafficking. One of the reports in the Wall Street Journal is about a woman from Africa who was brought to the Saudi Arabian area, and she became a slave. And she tried to escape, and she had signed a contract that she couldn't. So this is common. And when we look back at the horrors of slavery, well, anybody will tell you who's concerned about this issue that there's more slavery today than there's ever been in terms of sex slavery, et cetera. So these cartels are using Facebook. Facebook has said we're going to address the issue. They've never really addressed it. It's Facebook's own employees that have brought this to people's attention, and yet they're denying other people from using Facebook. It's a very strange situation.
You have another report on your site about the Babylon Bee getting involved in holding high-tech companies to protect social media users. What's that all about?
Well, that's the other side of the coin. The other side of the coin is, we actually, I think our video on Facebook went up 416% last year. And so we've had a good run with them. But a lot of people, a lot of my friends who have wonderful ministries have been excluded from Facebook, and for absolutely no reason at all. Of course, some of them have been flagged by Facebook because they're pro-life. Which most of us are pro-life. We believe in babies. I've got 15 grandchildren. I'm very concerned that they have a good life. And for other issues that are common to the faith of Christians. So these groups have been excluded. Meanwhile, so the Governor DeSantis of Florida and Babylon Bee and many other people, I signed one of the petitions, have petitioned to open this up so they stop discriminating against conservative groups and especially against Christian groups. And I hope they don't ever discriminate against CBN.
Well, switching gears now, Dr. Baird, to a movie review of one releasing this weekend called The Starling. What's that about?
Well, The Starling is about a couple who's looking forward to having a baby. Now, there's a pro-life issue. The director we've interviewed and has a very clear faith. But the starling, the baby dies, is stillborn, so the couple just disintegrates. The man is so depressed that he tries to commit suicide. He's now in care in a home for his situation. His wife is struggling to make things work. Their whole marriage is disintegrating. And how do they get together again? So there's positive references to faith in church. And I teach a class. I was head of a department at Berkeley and head of a department at City University of New York. I teach a class in filmmaking, and I got to tell you that a lot of the Christians who come in make the same error. They think that you've got to have foul language, which is probably the leading problem with the film, and you have to address subjects in a very difficult way. There's a lot of movies that were very clean, including It's a Wonderful Life, that actually is a movie about suicide, but it never descends into that area. So The Starling is a good movie. It's made with a strong Christian heart to it. Unfortunately, it shows the church well. Unfortunately, they decided to pepper it, so we had to give it a -2, which is our extreme caution to say a lot of people should not watch it. And that's just a question of learning how to do movies in a better way. I could give you a whole set of movies that address the same issues without ever stooping to conquer. And I teach that in the class. I teach you make more money. In fact, the more foul language you put in a movie, the less money you make. The more, violence you put in a movie, the less money you make. And we do those numbers every year. We look at 100% of the films that open in 750 theaters or more. We look at almost all the major streaming films. And if you look at the top streaming films last year, none of them contained foul language. And only 80% didn't have any sexual material. I mean, it's amazing. You look at the numbers, and the numbers say that if you want to succeed on social media, and that's not because of what we do, that's because the average person in America who's not located in New York or Los Angeles wants to see the good, the true, and the beautiful, and wants to see films that do represent problems, but they represent them in a positive way. I'll tell you, The Name of the Father, the Kendrick Brothers film that's out right now, represents some of those problems in a very positive way and is a wonderful movie.
All right, Dr. Ted Baer of MovieGuide.org. Thank you so much for your time today, sir, and your insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark.
The Jewish time of Sukkot, or Feast of Tabernacles, is being observed this week. It's a time when Jewish people talk about the 7 species of the Bible. CBN's Scott Ross traveled to Jerusalem for a cooking course using those 7 superfoods of the Bible.
This is the city of David. My wife Nedra and I met a famous Israeli known as the Queen of Kosher, and the kosher Rachel Ray. She is Jamie Geller, mother of 5 and founder of the Kosher Media Network.
How large an area does this encompass?
It's an 11-acre area. This is biblical Jerusalem, the city of David, and you'll notice it's outside of the old city walls, right? So the city of David, Jerusalem, Israel, it brings people together. It does. Much like food. So now I'm going to show you one of my favorite recipes, the 7 superfoods of the Bible and a special salad. How about that?
Great. I brought Nedra along because she's the real cook in the family.
She feeds me. She's a very good cook, but we know nothing about kosher food and kosher cooking.
Kosher refers to biblical and traditional Jewish dietary laws. They prohibit some foods like pork and shellfish and don't allow mixing meat and dairy products in the same meal. But we learned it's tasty all the same.
The way that I cook is quick and kosher, okay?
Right.
So that means it's easy, anyone can do it, and all I need are people that like to eat. We love to eat. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. And what's special here, forget about kosher, we're doing a recipe inspired by the 7 species, the 7 foods that are superfoods of the Bible and of the land of Israel.
Superfoods?
Yeah.
Will this make me a super person,
It'll
man?
make you strong like Popeye, it'll make you healthy, your doctor will be happy, your wife will be happy, you'll eat good.
The 7 species come from the book of Deuteronomy, which says the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land of wheat and barley, of vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey.
Shivat Haminim, which translates to mean the 7 species. So this is the Shivat Haminim salad. Okay, fine. So we're going to start by our wheat that we're going to use is bulgur. So would you mind to help me, Nedra?
Sure, what would you like me to do? Just
put that right in here. And yes, into a hot pot, we're going to put a little bit of oil, just a touch. You make bulgur like you would rice. So you toast it up just a little bit in a hot pot. Now, this is the magic of television, right? We got a finished thing right there.
We did it.
Before we get to toss it all together, we're going to make our dressing. So you want to help a little bit, Scott and Edric? Here, we have olive oil.
Okay, do you want the whole?
Please, put it all in. Okay, this is a little Dijon mustard. That's just for a little flavor, right?
Loves mustard.
Right, okay, fine. Okay. So Dijon's good. Now, what we have here is one of the special foods of the lands of Israel, date honey. Dates are one of the sweetest fruits in the world. Tons of fiber, that's what we're talking about, these superfoods. And date honey has been used for thousands of years to sweeten things naturally. A little red wine vinegar, right? Because grapes and wine, they can do it. We got a little bit of, salt and pepper. Okay, now we whisk. Who wants to whisk for me?
You can whisk.
Okay, whisk it up.
Well,
Mr. Ross. Okay, gorgeous.
How long do you whisk?
That's it. Yeah, it's good. Emulsified, nice. So everything's emulsified. You don't want to see any chunks of Dijon anymore. So that just pulls that together. So now, before we assemble our salad, I just want to show you. Right, this is dried dates.
Okay.
And then you just slice your dates like this.
Okay.
Okay, fine. So that's how we deal with our dates. You can use fresh or dried figs, but I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of that.
Good.
Would you please, Scott, bring over the
beautiful
serving plate. Then we can set our bulgur, right, is going to be the base of our salad. So we're going to put on our dates. They're a little sticky. So you'll excuse me, you want to help me?
Okay.
I put in the grapes, the superfood of the grapes, right? They've got lots of antioxidants. When pomegranates are in season, we would use the seeds of a pomegranate. Here we've got our figs, another one, right out of the Bible, onto our beautiful
They look
salad.
like anchovies.
Right, you said that. That's not one of the superfoods, but if you like, we can put it on, you know? So we pour on our dressing on top, right?
Okay.
And it's beautiful, right? It's a nice
Yeah,
salad.
it's really nice.
But now look at it. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Right?
Wow.
They think
The
you're in
power of
the
a
kitchen
little
forever.
green. Yeah, totally. It looks like we worked hard on this.
Yeah.
How long did that take us, guys?
5 minutes.
Okay, would you like to taste?
Of course.
Okay, so let's share this together, right?
Okay.
Shall we? A little for you.
Okay.
A little more, Hardy. They got a spoon over there.
Okay.
A little for you, Miss Nedra.
Thank you, dear.
I want you to get all of the
this is looking
superfoods.
good.
It smells nice,
yeah.
it's fresh. So shall we?
Yes, we shall.
Okay. God bless this and help me.
Amen.
Mmm.
Do you like? Mmm. It's different, right? Enjoy. I'm so happy that you like. And right now, you're eating a superfood salad with foods from the Bible that's delicious and good for you. So, like, that's like the best combination.
Boy, oh boy.
Well, I wanted to give you guys a present. Can I do that?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay.
I have a new book
Wonderful.
called Joy of Kosher, Fast, Fresh Family Recipes.
I may end up going
So,
kosher. You
therefore-
never know.
Well, you know what? You don't have to be kosher
Yeah,
to love
right.
kosher.
I understand
So
that.
in
Right,
theory,
yeah.
this was a kosher salad, but come on, it was
Right.
delicious,
Right.
you know?
It looks beautiful.
And there are lots of wonderful Israeli recipes in here, hummus, falafel, there's a lamb kebab spiced with cinnamon, cumin.
Wonderful.
Right.
And so don't be scared it's kosher, don't be scared it's Israel, don't be
Right.
scared. You know, I try Italian recipes, I try Indian recipes,
Right.
let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
get together around food.
Scott Ross, CBN News, Jerusalem.
I love.
For your Friday Faithful, I want to leave you with this thought. The dream that God's placed in your heart may sound crazy to those around you, but it's still a God dream, and it's only crazy until it happens. With that word, I want to encourage you to make today a fabulous Friday, and be sure to have yourself a wonderful weekend. Do it on purpose. That is a wrap for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com at any time. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Make it a great day. We'll see you Monday.